A FastAPI endpoint should not become the whole application. If the root parses input, runs business logic, handles storage, and formats every error, it becomes hard to test. This lesson separates the API handler from the work it triggers. FastAPI owns the HTTP boundary. The core function owns the behavior we want to test directly. The terms are routes, request models, dependency injection, response codes, and OpenAPI. A route maps an HTTP request to code. A request model validates the body. Dependency injection supplies collaborators. Response codes tell the client what happened. OpenAPI documents the contract clients can inspect. Open the file task_api.py and start with the route function. Then find the plain Python function or service that does the actual work. The route should translate HTTP into a checked request, call the core behavior, and translate the result back into a response. Do not hide all the logic inside decorators. A thin route is easier to read during an incident. You can see the request model, the dependency, the function call, and the response mapping without hunting through a long endpoint body. Run the demo or API test and look at the request and response shapes. The useful output is the contract, which fields the client sends, which fields it gets back, and which response code appears when input is wrong. That contract lets an agent, UI, or workflow call your API without guessing. The test should cover the core function and the API route. Test valid input, invalid input, and the response status code. This split keeps failures easy to locate. If the core behavior fails, test it without HTTP. If validation or status mapping fails, test the route boundary. Separate tests catch different problems. A core function test catches behavior bugs. An API test catches validation, serialization, dependency wiring, and response code mistakes. FastAPI gives validation and generated docs, but endpoint code can grow too large. Keep route functions thin. Put behavior behind functions or small services that can be tested without starting an API server. Generated docs are useful only when the models are honest. If a response can fail, the route should return a status code and shape that clients can handle deliberately. An interviewer might ask, how do you structure FastAPI code so it stays testable? A strong answer is, I keep route handlers thin. Use request and response models for the HTTP contract. Inject dependencies, put business logic in plain Python functions, and test both the core behavior and the route status codes.